Good day to everyone, my specimen. Today is Tuesday, it's reset day for NA, it's about to be reset day for EU, but there is something much more important happening today. Today is the day where the expansion, the 10.0 expansion, is being announced. In, I guess, just a few hours, if you're watching this video shortly after it's been released, we are getting the reveal of the expansion. So I'm going to go along with one of the traditions of expansion releases, which is the bingo sheet, trying to guess what is going to happen in the reveal, what is going to be said by the developers, what is going to be announced about the next expansion, or other things that might take place in the reveal. We're gonna get a double feature for today. We are getting this video, this prediction video right before the reveal, and then after that I'm going to put up the live reaction of the expansion reveal, while also I am gonna be working on my bingo sheet to see how many were correct. And I am so generously going to share with you before the reveal my own bingo sheet, so you can all join in and see how many are going to end up being correct. In the first row of our bingo sheet, we have the Elune card. This is because Elune has been more and more mentioned and almost shown into the story recently, mostly thanks to the more prevalence of Tyrande in the storyline, so I think we might get more of Elune in 10.0. Another thing that is quite a mainstay of these type of predictions for the next expansion is going to be a new class or a new spec. That's another evergreen for these type of bingo sheets. That we haven't gotten a new spec or class since Demon Hunters in Legion, so perhaps this one is the right one to get a new class or a new spec. However, there is also another thing that can be new, which is a new race. Now, quite a few of these bingo cards are going to be based on the assumption that we are getting a dragon-themed expansion. So, on this card, we are getting the new dragon race. Of course, making a race is much more simple than making a class or a spec. We have seen the work that Blizzard did with allied races, for example. It's much easier to pick up some other human's skeleton and dress it up as a different race, so perhaps we might be getting a new race in the next expansion, being of course more dragon themed, perhaps some type of different dragonkin that is going to be able to be played. After these first three, we go into something much more serious, because we are looking at the fact that Alexstrasza might be turned into a nun in 10.0. This is thanks to the possible leak of WoW's 10.0 expansion poster, the banner of the expansion, where we see an Alexstrasza quite covered up. This is, it's quite probable it's going to happen. After all, I don't think we're going to get a trailer of an expansion where Alexstrasza is going to feature in and she's going to stroll around in a bikini. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm pretty confident in this bingo card. Another thing I am confident is the sorry for Shadowlands speech that is going to happen at the reveal. I am pretty sure someone is going to come up and say sorry for some of the bad things that were being done in Shadowlands. After all, just looking at one of them, we have gotten the longest ever first patch of an expansion, 9.0, and back-to-back the longest ever second patch of an expansion with 9.1. That already should be reason enough to give us a tiny little sorry message. As we move into our second row, we go a little bit more into the story theme of the expansion, because the first one is that we are getting a new dragon aspect, or a dragon aspect already existing turned evil. As of right now, we have the red, the green, the blue, the bronze, and the black dragonflight. They're all good now, mostly. So I think that because it's a dragon-themed expansion, they also must be bringing something new. We can't just have the same dragons as before. We must have some new type of dragon we haven't seen before in the expansion, so that's why I'm betting on some new type of dragon aspect, perhaps a splinter of an old one, like the Infinite Dragonflight or the Twilight Dragonflight, that might come up to be more relevant in 10.0. Another thing, which is more of a wish, I'm guessing for many people, is going to be the full cross-faction being enabled in 10.0. In 9.2.5, we are getting what many believe to be the test of this feature. Because the biggest feature of this cross-faction missing is, of course, the guilds. Is being able to play every time, whenever you want, with a member of another faction. So That is going to be the wish for this bingo card, to get cross-faction available in 10.0 more broadly. After this, we go into another pretty evergreen bingo card, which is yet another zones revamp. This is quite difficult to guess, because perhaps we are getting a new continent in the next expansion, so there might not be a reason to revamp the zones, but I have this feeling. I have this feeling that perhaps a handful, not all of them, but a handful of zones might be reused for the next expansion, and they will get a makeover. They will get a lift in their looks for 10.0. After this, we go back to the story pointers, and we have the old gods coming back to town. We have been missing them for a while. They have not really been part of too much of the stories since the end of BFA, or most of BFA, so this one was a pretty old god-free expansion. And as we know, Blizzard can't really go 2 full expansions without mentioning the old gods, so that's why they make it in this bingo sheet. Last in the second row of our bingo sheet is where the fuck is Khadgar? Khadgar left us in Legion and then just, I don't know, went on a vacation. Perhaps he was stuck in many vacation days to take some serious time off, but, you know, it's been long enough now. It's been like 4 years. Perhaps it's time for Khadgar to show up again, right? Also, our other resident popular mage is Jaina, and Jaina got quite a lot of focus in the last couple of expansions, so I think we need a new mage to represent us, and I think it's time for Khadgar to come back. On to the third row. The third row starts with a fear more than a hope, because the fear is of corruption. Yes, there is the tying to what is above corruption in the bingo sheet, which is the new aspect or one of the older aspects turned evil. Perhaps the good old explanation of why has he turned evil, there is no logical reason as to why he made those decisions. Well, you know, he got corrupted. It might happen again. So I seriously hope it's not the case, though. I really don't want to, even at the cost of losing my bingo, I don't really want to get this one right at all. Talking about another thing I don't want to get right, but that's also the reason why we have bingo sheets. Not everything needs to be good when an expansion is announced. Artifact power, sorry, Azerite power, Anima power, Jesus, Aspect power is going to come up in the next expansion. Of course, this was an easy take for a bingo card, because we have gotten this at this point for 3 expansions in a row. Anima power was the weakest, the least important, and the most side activity-ish type of grinding. We have to say this. It wasn't really at all a hindrance. However, it still made the open world much less interesting, which is quite dangerous for an MMO to not make the open world interesting enough. So I hope we don't get aspect power, or at the very least not in the same way all of the previous powers of the 3 expansions we just got past working the same, something different. Now in the middle of our bingo sheet we have our free space. So in the free space of the bingo sheet I picked something up that is going to be a guaranteed win, and that is someone, not quite sure who he is, who is going to say that we are so excited. And that's it. This is an easy cross on your bingo card, pretty much. Next to it, we have another pretty easy card. I put 2 next to each other, very simple, because the first 2 of this row, I'm really hoping they won't happen. So on this one, we are putting the We Listened. That's right. Usually it is something about something being requested for a full year, and then it gets added into the game much later. But Blizzard presents it like, we are listening, guys. We are totally acting on your requests, even though what that choice is going to cause mostly is irritation and annoyance that the decision was taken so late. So that is quite a stereotypical take in this type of expansion reveals. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen as well. Last of this row, we get a big Mythic Plus change. Why do you ask? No reason. No reason. This is one of my hunches. Mythic Plus has been the same for too long. As a matter of fact, it has worked the exact same for way too long, so I think they might try something else with Mythic Plus. Not change it completely, just some interesting new things for the next expansion. We are now in the bottom 2 rows of our bingo sheet. In the first card, we have, obviously, another obvious take given what we have just gone through in Shadowlands, which is the Dragon Covenants. Blizzard has a track record of keeping what they had in the previous expansion into the new one, at the very least since Legion, since their so-called modern WoW, when they changed many systems in the game. Many of these have carried over to BFA, and many of those have carried over to Shadowlands. So the Dragon Covenant option is also a danger that might happen in the next expansion that is worth pointing out in this bingo sheet. After this, another of the hopes, more so than a hunch, is the Professions rework. I really hate how Professions have worked ever since they were catastrophically dumbed down since Mist of Pandaria. They are very simple. Anything that you can max as a profession by standing next to the trainer after going to the auction house and shop for everything you need is terrible. Professions need to be harder to actually get at max rank, to actually put effort and be one of the few profession masters that can craft certain things. Even talking about being a master, going back to giving you specializations within your same profession, to making it more diverse. That is all a series of things that I hope is going to happen in 10.0. Talking about the hopes of 10.0, there is another one. The other hope of 10.0 is brand new villains. And my specific hope is the background of this card, which is of course Murlocs. As you know, I am a fan of Murlocs, but very likely, unfortunately, they won't be the new villain, but at the very least, the hope is that we will get a new villain. Being an expansion about dragons, I hope perhaps this ties back to the previous bingo card about one of the old aspects turning evil, or a new aspect of dragons being introduced, which will have a new villain. Next to it, we have the danger, we have the risk, which is the recycled old villain being pushed out again. It's a danger, it's a threat. We have seen this before, okay? Recently, we haven't really done this as much, right? Shadowlands was pretty much new villains all around. BFA was kind of wacky all over the place, didn't have a main villain throughout the expansion. This expansion as well, I'm pretty positive about the brand new villain being introduced. Granted, of course, that it's not going to be as boringly soulless as the Jailer, okay? Blizzard, perhaps let's make a villain that is a little bit more interesting, okay? Just think about what you did with the Natrius, and then don't just trash him away after one tier and actually keep him as the main villain. That would actually be a start for your next expansion. Last of this row is the Zone, which is going to be, of course, Dragon Isles. If we have this entire bingo sheet with the assumption that it's going to be a dragon themed expansion, then we have to have the Dragon Isles as a card in this bingo sheet, because, well, where else are you going to go? Where else are we going to go if it's a dragon themed expansion? We are now at the bottom of our bingo sheet. One is a very dangerous sentence which might come out of some of Blizzard's devs' mouths, which is going back to our roots, specifically putting war back into Warcraft. This was the curse, the malediction inflicted on this game back when Warlords of Draenor was being released, and Blizzard was trying to push this whole old school WoW coming back type of deal. I don't want to hear it anymore. Next to this card, we have Alliance and Horde must band together to fight a greater foe. Obvious, right? This is another obvious point in this type of reveals. Once again, the Horde and the Alliance must look past their differences and realize that if they want to save Azeroth, they have to team up. Blah, blah, blah. I'm hoping it's not going to be. I have my fears, especially if it's a dragon-themed expansion. The dragons are neutral, the dragonflights are neutral, so if you're playing with them, how can we be against each other as Horde and Alliance if we have to team up with the dragonflights anyways? Please, no more Avengers assemble between the Horde and the Alliance, okay? I'm not saying you have to be at war, I'm not saying you have to be fighting each other, but let's keep it to a cold war, okay? Let's keep it to some nasty side eyes and some backhanded comments about each other. That's still cool. Now, the next card, the third last card, is going to be the release date. One of the things that the expansion reveal does is the release date. So the release date is going to be on spring 2023. My guess is March, but it could be anything within that spring. It's also quite obvious, given the old expansion gaps between the reveal of the expansion and the actual expansion coming is about a year. So it's also a quite sound guess. Our last two bingo cards are going to be number 1, player housing. Every expansion this is being requested. I kind of see some of its benefits, the possibility of making the open world more valuable if you somehow manage to slot in player housing mechanics, but I don't know, man, it's just so useless to me. I don't really see how and why would you want to be into this type of stuff. Lastly, we finish with a hope. We finish with the hope of the lack of cosmic threats. Because yes, we are going on the assumption that it's going to be a dragon-themed expansion, but you never know Blizzard. You never know Blizzard, we might still have a cosmic threat coming into our face. Remember that they were marketing BFA as a faction war expansion. And the faction war lasted barely a couple of patches, and then we turned into, once again, there is a big, huge alien wanting to suck the energy out of this planet and kill us all. So even if we have dragons, don't be fooled. We might still get some cosmic intergalactic threat out of nowhere coming to eat us or something. So it's also a good hope that we're not gonna get a cosmic threat in the next expansion. Now, with this being said and done, this is our 10.0 reveal bingo sheet, which we will use in just a few hours as the expansion gets revealed. I will have a few hours later, give me time to upload and edit and whatnot. I will put up the live reaction of my viewing of the reveal together with my bingo sheet tagging to see how it went. For now, I'm going to leave you with your new bingo sheet for the reveal, and I'm going to leave you also to the rest of your reset day in NA, soon to be in EU. After this, tomorrow likely we will finish what we started a few days ago, which was the meta, the rankings, the meta state of specs so far. Only melee are left, so that's what we are getting next. For now, I'm leaving. Thank you guys, of course, for watching. You can support me and my channel by liking and commenting on the video, as well as subscribing to the channel. For this time around, of course, being a joyous moment of expansion reveal, everyone is allowed to subscribe to the channel. Also, you can find me here on Twitter. I actually wrote 2 tweets in one day. That's my new personal record. And you can also support me on Patreon over here. You can help me by buying more candles, because these ones are actually kind of shit. Yeah, they're just they end too early. I need bigger candles. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys soon. And in the meantime, no, but for real, I need something that's like this big, right? And bigger, thicker candle, so they last for like 12 hours or something.